I'm Jill Menze, news editor at PhocusWire, and I'm here with Yesh Munnangi, who is managing director of Rome2rio.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So this is your first Phocuswright, and this is your first time speaking with PhocusWire. So
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself, and so we can get to know you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's great to be here at Phocuswright, and I've always read about Phocuswright conferences. I have some of my colleagues visit here, so it's great to see the energy back and all the travel enthusiasm back, and it's great to be in person to experience all that as well. So about myself, I'm now the CEO of Rome2rio. Rome2rio is a website, a global website which helps people travel from A to B, any place you want to go from to a destination. You can search on Rome2rio and get multimodal results and an end-to-end result. So it's not just flights, but we have trains, buses, ferries, drive, and we also connect the modes together. So we help not just get you from the airport to airport or the station to station, but from your home to the actual destination in the city. And so we connect all the pieces together for you and give you an indicative end-to-end itinerary of how long it's going to take for you to reach there. And we provide the comparison as well, so you can look for whether the train is better than the flight, to if you cover all the waiting and the airport transfers together, and compare that to a train which actually takes you from the station to a station in the middle of the city. So it's an exciting product, and it's something that I think there's a lot of demand for from a user perspective. The consumers normally search for how do I go from where I am to where I want to get to, and they don't normally want to just look for airport to airport. And I think we are solving a consumer problem that is complex. It's not easy, but we are excited to be on the journey, and we are improving it day by day. And excited to be here as well.
Yeah. So I mean, it is complex. There's so many different moving parts and different providers, and so can you talk a bit about the complexities and how you're aiming to solve that with technology and some of the challenges that still remain?
Sure. I think like you said, it's not easy because of the fragmentation of the whole market, right? So there are so many bus providers, train providers, flight airlines, ferry providers across the world. Now we cover more than 10,000 of these providers together in terms of transport providers. But we have a very good team of freelancers across the world who collect information from different sources. And we have content tools that bring it all together. And we have an amazing technology that can process all that data together and provide the trip that the user wants to see end to end. So there's a lot of layers in the whole solution. It's a lot of technology that is being used, but it's also hard data that we source from the markets. And so we get different sources, like some travel providers give us the APIs that we collect, and some providers give us GTFS files, which is just the schedule data on what services they are running. And we also have our freelancers on the ground to collect data that is not available digitally. That's unique.
Taking the offline online.
The offline online, exactly, because those are the missing pieces that connect the journeys together for a lot of scenarios, and you don't find that information anywhere else on the internet. So we are the ones who have that unique content that we then bring it together and stitch it together for the user. So it's actually so unique that a lot of people tell us that we have data that they haven't seen anywhere else on the internet. So we are able to do that because we are able to bring all these sources together.
And on the pundit panel earlier, they were saying about how giving a consumer data isn't going to solve their problems when planning a trip. It really needs to be contextualized and put into something they can understand and know the times it's going to take, and know where these providers are and how to access them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's approaching the problem from what the user actually needs is very important. So there is a gap between what the user needs are and what the technical capabilities are from a distribution perspective, or from like plumbing that they were talking about. Like the plumbing hasn't been fixed from an airline's networks and all the transport data. There's a lot of work to be done, but we are approaching the whole thing from a user problem perspective and saying, what is the user actually trying to get? And you can get a lot of that data from Google search, where the user is searching, how do I get from Berlin to Paris? They're not asking, how do I get from Berlin airport to Paris airport? So when they ask Berlin to Paris, they want to actually get help on how to get from their house to the final destination. So answering that in the simplest, fastest way possible is what Rome2rio does. So we give the user the complete information. Some of that can be booked, some of that cannot be booked, some of that is accurate, some of that is data that we collect, and we have an indicative idea, but we give the complete answer. And it's not easy for most of the routes, and that's where our unique content and technology comes into play.
Yeah. How have consumer preferences changed amid the pandemic? You know, we see so much more travel close to home. Are people searching out new destinations?
Yeah.
You know, what kind of trends have you seen?
No, I think there are multiple ways in which things have changed. So obviously users wanted to get more information about the COVID rules, restrictions, which we put on our website, and it's available for any search that you do. We provide the COVID information and restrictions. But beyond that, I think in general, the nature of travel that people were doing has shifted to domestic or quick getaways. So they still feel secure, and they need more information or content to feel that safety and security in new places. So there's a lot more need for content, not just the raw data points, but the content on what are the ways in which they can handle COVID-19 in the new place. What is the healthcare situation? What is the insurance situation? And if they want to cancel the trips, what are the options available? So there's a lot more content that the user is doing research on before they actually take the trip.
Okay.
But the other patterns that we have seen is the change in preference for modes of transport as well.
Okay.
Like the people who are taking flights for most of their routes in Europe now are doing the research on whether there are other options available. So we have seen a significant jump in the number of searches that people do with us in Europe in the last 3 years. So we have the traffic and the amount of searches that are happening with us have doubled in compared to 2019. And we believe that's because of the trends of domestic transport, short distance transport, but also the general openness to the mode. So people are open to taking the train or the bus and considering those as options. And sometimes the difficulties that the flight networks are facing right now are opening up that question in users' mind to say, oh, if this is taking so long for me from a flight perspective, maybe there is a train that is faster and cheaper and more convenient. And in some situations, it is more convenient, and it is actually so much more easier for the user to just take the train from the city center to the city center and not worry about all the cancellations, the baggage, the way they feel inside the flight when they have a feeling that others have COVID or there's more COVID spreading around. So a lot of those trends have enabled Rome2rio to support the users a lot more. So there's a lot more demand for us, and we are happy to help. But we are also feeling more responsible for providing that content to the users and enabling those choices to be made with more content.
Right. How much of that consumer decision is also driven by sustainability? You know, how much is that factoring into their decision to find other modes of transport? Would you say it's more convenience driven? Is it more just distance of destination? How much is sustainability factoring in? And
no, I'm sure there is a factor of sustainability, because people have thought through this idea in the last 2 years a lot more. There's more awareness. But I think in the short term, when people make choices about just getting to a place and spending the least amount of money to get there and feeling the convenience of it, I think in terms of the priority, the convenience, the cost, the speed, and then sustainability come into play. Maybe over time, the factor gets more important in people's choices, but making people aware of the sustainability of some of these choices is becoming more important.
Yeah.
It's one of those parameters that people look at. So we are trying to add that into the content that we show. So when people make these choices, they look at the impact on the environment, the CO2 emissions, and how those trade-offs play in the choices. So it is getting more important, but still I think convenience, cost, and speed still rule the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So, looking ahead to the rest of 2020, what would you say your top 3 priorities are?
So our top 3 priorities, like I said, is to make sure that we provide the answer to the users better, because there's a lot more demand. I mean, we feel like the number of queries we get from users, there is a responsibility from our side to make sure that our content is accurate, is full, and we cover most of the searches that people do. So getting the content to the next level in terms of richness and accuracy is the most important piece. But we're also working on getting our product experience deeper, because people who come to us with this question of how do I get to a place, they typically have a lot of other questions around that intent. They're still looking for accommodation, they're looking for activities, they're looking for the last mile transport. And I think we are at a unique place where we get the user very early in the trip planning. And we know that there's a lot more questions to be answered. So we're trying to add content and make our product much more useful for that. And we are partnering with our sister company, Rome2rio, to enable the transport booking easy and make it seamless between our products. So users who come to us, who pick a choice of the mode and transport, if they want to book it, then we have the whole flow streamlined for them to book with Rome2rio, and then Rome2rio takes care of the customer from there. So because we are together, it helps us make that experience seamless and easy for the user.
Yeah, it really kind of ties the end-to-end journey together.
Exactly, because Rome2rio also has the trains, the buses, the flights, like the multimodality of the end-to-end route is supported by the booking as well. So it makes it easy to have one booking for the whole trip. There's still a lot of work to be done to get there, but I think together we are on path to get the user a better experience on that. Yeah.
We will encourage everyone that's stuck at Schiphol to take a train.
Yes,
they can't get out of here.
Yeah, look it up on Rome2rio and you'll see the options.
Perfect. All right. Well, we are at time, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah.
Thank you.